on the 31st of October. This means that travelling to the EU will change.
Online skills tests.
You'll need to check online if your passport is valid for travel to Europe. If you're planning on driving, you'll need to check if you have the right documents to drive, and make sure your travel insurance covers all your healthcare needs.
It's time
To
to
keep
do
your
a bit
trip
of
on track,
Debenhams with up to
check what you need to
30%
do
off our
at
favourite coats, knitwear, and boots for the whole
gov.uk/Brexit.
family,
Get
and
ready for
20%
Brexit
off throughout
on the
home. Shop
31st of
now in
October.
store and at Debenhams.com.
London,
National
switch to
capital of the
Vodafone,
world,
the
24
UK's
hours a
best
day at
mobile network.
Bloomberg.com,
And
on the
via
Bloomberg
Limited,
Business
because
app,
the best
and at
phones
TikTok
deserve
on
the
Twitter.
best
This
network
is
and
Bloomberg Radio.
unlimited data plans. The future is exciting.
This is Bloomberg Daybreak
Ready?
Europe for this
Vodafone.
Tuesday, October the 22nd in London. Coming up this hour,
Three-day sprint. Boris Johnson tries to rush his Brexit deal through a parliament that has already proved hostile to his plans.
global stocks are lifted as President Trump says trade talks between the US and China are advancing ahead of next month's APEC summit.
Chile endures a fourth day of protests and the worst unrest in decades, and Justin Trudeau wins a second term in Canada's election, but falls short of a majority. I'm Leanne Gerrans with World News.
And UBS beats on the bottom line as wealth management assets reach a record high. CEO Sergio Amotti struck an upbeat tone.
Still very challenging market conditions, but I'm glad that we were able to bring a solid performance in this difficult context.
That's all straight ahead on Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
Thank you for joining
on
us. I
DAB
have just
Digital
joined
Radio
Karen for
London,
the
Bloomberg
final hour of
1130 New
programming.
York,
European
Bloomberg
markets are just
99.1
waking up, and
Washington
we're coming
DC,
off of a
Bloomberg
solid
1061
handover from
Boston,
Wall Street, where we
Bloomberg
saw the
960
S&P
San
500
Francisco,
close within
Sirius
1%
XM Channel
of its
119,
all-time high.
and
Now, in
around the
terms of
world
what
on
boosted sentiment overall
BloombergRadio.com
yesterday,
and via the
continued
Bloomberg Business
optimism
app.
around U.S.-China trade. We had Larry Kudlow
And a very
speaking
good
on
morning
TV
from
yesterday,
London. I'm Roger
suggesting
Hearing.
that we could
And I'm
see a
Naira
rollback of
Chehich.
those
It is
planned
coming up to
December
8:01 a.m. in
tariffs,
London,
depending on
9:01 if you're
how
listening
these
in
trade
Paris, Frankfurt or
talks
Brussels.
progress
Good
and how this
morning,
phase one
everyone.
agreement
Third time lucky
progresses.
for
Now
Boris
here in Europe, we
Johnson,
are seeing the stock
Roger.
exchange
I mean, I
open
think I finally got my head around what exactly is going on this
Brexit,
week. So
of
as I
course,
understand it,
front
you've got
and
the
center. And
second
this morning we
reading.
have seen some support
We're
for
talking to
sterling,
Sebastian Salek
despite the
earlier,
fact
who
that
of course you
yesterday
co-anchor
the
Bloomberg
Speaker
Westminster
did not
with.
allow
He
that
seemed to
yes or
think
no
that you
vote
could
to
actually
proceed
clear
on the
that
Brexit
second
deal.
reading. But
Now
then
Boris
what becomes
Johnson
complicated is you
proceeding,
could have
trying
all
to
these
appeal to
amendments
MPs
attached, so
to
the deal
get
could
his
actually
deal
look very
passed
different
this
to
week.
what it does
Putting it
now.
all together
The
for
programme
European
motion is
investors
where
as
the
they
delay
also
is
digest
risked,
corporate
but not
earnings.
the deal
It has
itself. And
translated
then
to
we
a
get to the
slightly
third
negative
reading,
start to
and then what
trade
happens?
here
Well, the
in
third
Europe.
reading, if
Well,
we
let's
get
dive into
that
the
far,
sector and
is
see what
pretty
the
much
breakout
the
looks
last
like.
hurdle, and then you
Yesterday
can
we
get
saw
past that.
overall
But the
gains
problem is
for
going
the
to be
European
exactly that.
market.
The program, the
Banks and
timetable,
basic
it's
resources were
unprecedented. I think,
particularly
to try and
strong.
do all this
So
in
let's take a look at this
3
morning and
days.
see how those two
Something
sectors
that, as
and the
Nicola
rest
said,
are
could
faring.
change the UK for
Travel and leisure,
generations.
household
And a lot
goods,
of
and
MPs
healthcare
just not
trading
happy
at the
with that.
bottom
Yeah, and
end of
cable
the
at the
stock
moment,
600.
well, perhaps
Moving along,
cable
we've
sort
got
of reflecting
construction,
the
media,
uncertainties in
food
the
and
sense
drink,
that it's
basic
trading
resources right in
unchanged
the
on a
middle. So basic resources,
129.65
the
handle.
strong
But as we
performer
look to
yesterday,
Brexit, and we've
basically
also got
hovering
trade
around
to
the
talk
flat
about
line
in the
this
show,
morning.
Roger.
Now
Also,
moving along to the
into
best
earnings season, we're in
performers
full swing this
at
week.
the open.
Globally,
We've
you've got some huge
banks and
bellwethers
oil and gas.
reporting.
So
You've
banks,
got Amazon,
another
you've got
strong
Microsoft,
day
you've got
for the
Caterpillar.
banking
Here
sector.
in
We've
Europe,
got UBS earnings, which
is
we'll go
the
into
big
in more
focus. The bottom
detail
line,
in just a
that
moment. But
net
yesterday, of course,
income
the big
number
bid
was
for
a
banks
clear
coming
beat,
through the UK.
but also the
Those
wealth management
domestic
in
names
focus, because
here in
that
the
net
UK
new money in the
benefiting
third
from
quarter,
what
and it was
the
almost
market
$16
perceives to
billion
be
of
positive
inflows,
progress
took
on the
assets in
Brexit
that
front.
unit to
Certainly
a
from a
record.
market
So as we were saying in the
perspective
headline,
anyway. Let's take a
Sergio
look at
Amotti
markets
in
and
the
see how the
interview,
different
which
regions
we'll
are
hear
shaping
from
up this morning.
this
We've
hour,
got the
sounding
FTSE
pretty
100
upbeat.
trading
But they are
about
taking a big
1/10
charge for some
higher. So
restructuring.
Yes,
modest
$100 million
gains this morning.
exactly
Over
for
in
the
Italy, the
fourth
FTSE
quarter,
MIB
but
is
also
trading
the other
about
thing that was
0.1% higher.
cautioned by
Now the
UBS
Swiss index
was the
has just
impact of
opened and
negative
printing a
rates.
touch below the flat
Okay,
line.
so lots to look
And
at
the
in
DAX
that
is
area.
slated to
If we
be
get to
trading
the markets,
slightly
I was gonna say,
in
how are we
positive
looking
territory.
across all this
So
stuff
putting it all
happening? How
together,
are the
a
markets
fairly
treating
muted
it?
start to
Well,
trade
we were
today.
looking
Of
upbeat
course,
in
a lot of
Asia.
wait and see,
Japan closed, but
especially
FTSE
when it
Asia Pacific Index, ex-Japan, was posting some gains. European
Let's
equities
dive
really
into,
flat
the
straight out of the
UBS
gate. We're 2 minutes
numbers,
into the
as I
equity
flagged.
market
That
open.
is one of the
After
key
gains
focal points for
yesterday were
banking,
unchanged. If we look
investors
below
this
the
morning, we're
surface,
just waiting for the
industry groups,
opening
car
print. But in
makers are
terms of what we
leading
heard
along
from
with
UBS
banks,
this morning,
and we
UBS
were
beat
seeing
on the
in the
bottom line
pre-market
in the third
UBS
quarter,
called higher. So we'll
despite
take a look at that share price in a moment. Travel and leisure, personal and household goods underperforming. Taking a look across regional equity benchmarks, FTSE 100 up 0.1%, CAC 40 flat, DAX edges into the green, so does the FTSE MIB, the IBEX is flat. The S&P 500, welcome back 3,000, we closed above that yesterday. yesterday, and a lot of it was around hopes
morning?
with the trade talks. S&P futures flat now.
Right. So
Nasdaq futures up 1/10%. Dow futures are flat. The 10-year yield closed on a 180 handle yesterday. We slipped back a bit, down 2 basis points, 179. We saw yields rise along with stocks gaining yesterday. Different picture today. Yields are falling. 10-year bond yield down a basis point, negative 36. 10-year gilt yield on a 73 handle down 1 basis point, Roger.
Right, well, let's have a look at stocks to watch this morning. Bloomberg's Ksenia Galuchko has joined us in our London studio. Ksenia, good morning. Well, earnings, I guess, is where we are really, as we've been hearing. Reckitt bankies are reporting like-for-like sales for the third quarter that missed the average analyst estimate.
That's right, Roger. Yes, starting on a sad note, unfortunately the stock hasn't opened yet, but it was being called down by traders. Now, Reiki beckons there's new CEOs lowering its sales goal on the weakness in US and China. And they're especially suffering because of the weak demand for flu medicines in the US and baby formula in China.
Now, also moving on to AMS, they forecast revenue for the fourth quarter and guidance 4.5% above the average.
That's right. Yes, so that's a good positive this morning. Again, I'm refreshing my Bloomberg feed. No trading just yet in Switzerland for AMS. The manufacturer of advanced sensor solutions did forecast a 4.5% sales growth, and that is above estimates, and that is seen as very good by Vontobel and other analysts.
And finally, of course, UBS, which we were talking about. First, the really big bank earnings in Europe. We heard from Sergio Motti. How's it playing?
That's right. Well, again, sorry, Roger, I don't know, but none of the stocks that we're looking at have opened yet. But yes, analysts and traders were expecting a very nice gain because they did add 16 billion from rich clients. Assets are hitting records. UBS has really made the focus of their turnaround, their wealth management unit. They've really been emphasizing that. At the same time, of course, the stock price has been facing challenges, and as Nera mentioned, lower interest rates is a source of concern for this bank.
Yeah, we already said stocks to watch rather than stocks you can watch. Anyway, Ksenia, thanks very much. Ksenia Galuchko there with us in this London studio, telling us
quarter, 1.9%.
The start, very challenging start of the year.
Also, the analyst call starting now, so we can follow all this on the TLIV blog as well, which has been up and running since we got the earnings through, Roger. The analyst call starting now. We're getting the usual big picture overview from Sergio Motti, the CEO, right now. Kicking off the call, he's reiterated that it's a solid quarter. He does say he's not satisfied with the investment bank performance in the quarter, so we'll keep an eye on that TLIV and bring you updates as we get it as well. But as we said, the stock opening higher by 2%, almost 2% at the moment.
Well, in fact, we can hear from Sergio Motti because after that UBS posting quarterly profits that beat estimates, he spoke to Bloomberg earlier this morning.
So they've completed 600 million year-to-date. It remains to be seen whether or not they can buy back that last 400 million in the last quarter. Just a quick comment as well on the outlook, because we haven't spoken too much about that. I think it's worth bearing in mind that yet again, they are cautious on the outlook. They point to continued uncertainty when it comes to the trade war, geopolitical uncertainty, and as ever,
Prime Minister Boris Johnson will find out this evening whether he has any chance of getting his Brexit deal through Parliament, and ahead of his October 31st deadline. He might have enough support to win a vote on his proposed withdrawal agreement bill, but it will be followed immediately by a second on whether MPs agree to his 3-day timetable for pushing the bill through. More than 100 pages of the EU withdrawal agreement bill were published last night ahead of a debate on it later. Labour MP Paul Sweeney is concerned.
It just strikes at the heart of every instinct that parliamentarians have about giving sufficient time to scrutinise massive generational change in this
thank you so
country,
much for breaking down the detail for us. And as you just saw there on your screen, UBS shares have opened up higher.
The EU is still considering a delay, even though Boris Johnson says he doesn't want one.
And we'll be picking up, of course, on that on Bloomberg Westminster, which goes on air at noon today. We'll be speaking to the Labour MP Jim Fitzpatrick and finding out what he thinks about all this and where it's going. He being a fairly loud voice in the Labour ranks.
Cardiovascular and psoriasis drugs. Novartis shares reacting
Turning to trade, hopes around which gave risk assets a lift yesterday. President Trump says China has indicated that talks over a mini deal are advancing. Bloomberg's Brian Curtis has more from Hong Kong.
It raises expectations that President Trump and President Xi could sign a pact at next month's APEC summit in Chile. It comes after more mixed messages, though, from the U.S. administration. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross suggested a token win wouldn't cut it. He said it's more important to get it right than to rush a signing. But then, back to the doves. Advisor Larry Kudlow said the president could drop the tariffs planned for December if the negotiations go well. Confused? Pull up a chair. In Hong Kong, Brian Curtis, Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
Sales guidance for the
Turning to top
second
corporate
time in
news, sources tell
2019
Bloomberg
after a quote
SoftBank Group's looking at taking
disappointing
controlling
third
stake
quarter.
in
The
WeWork.
British consumer
More from
goods
Bloomberg's
company
Charlie
blamed a
Pennant.
weak performance
The deal
in its
is
health
set to
division
value
and
the company at
quote,
about
seasonal
$8 billion
uncertainty in the
or
fourth
less
quarter. Revenue over the period rose more than 5%, but missed expectations. Reckitt shares taking quite a hit this morning, down more than 5%. So really a steep sell-off this morning, suggesting that investors were certainly not positioned for this news to come through for Reckitt Benckiser.
And another from JP Morgan Chase to keep it from running out of money as soon as next month. Charlie Powell, Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
IT services giant Infosys' shares plunged to a 10-month low earlier today. That's after whistleblowers accused CEO Salil Parekh of leading an effort to shore up profits through irregular accounting. The letter, addressed to the board and published by the Deccan Herald, charged Parekh with unethical practices to boost revenues and profit in recent quarters.
And more than half of the world's banks are too weak to survive a downturn. That's according to a survey by consultancy McKinsey. A majority may not be economically viable because their returns on equity aren't keeping pace with costs. In its annual review of the industry, McKinsey urged firms to develop technology, farm out operations, and bulk up fire mergers.
The stock market's a little more complicated because a lot of
the latest in global news with Bloomberg's Leanne Gerrans.
Roger. Thousands of protesters gathered in city squares around Chile yesterday after a weekend of riots and looting left 11 dead. From Santiago, Bloomberg's Eduardo Thompson reports.
Chile's President Sebastián Piñera vowed to meet today with leaders of all political parties to reach a social accord to put an end to 4 days of protests, riots, and looting sparked by a rise in subway fares. Protesters demand measures against income inequality and the return of the military to their bases after the president announced a state of emergency on Saturday. In Santiago, Eduardo Thompson, Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
Justin Trudeau has pulled it off after winning a second term as Canada's Prime Minister, but with a reduced mandate that will force him to rely on other parties to govern. Trudeau's Liberal Party won or was leading 155 electoral districts, short of the 170 needed for a majority in Canada's election. 4 years ago, the Liberal Party secured a majority to govern alone. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has failed in his bid to form a new coalition government. He's been forced to return the mandate to the country's president. President Rivlin now plans to pass that right to opposition leader and former military chief Benny Gantz, who is expected to face an equally difficult task. 2 inconclusive elections this year have left Israel in political deadlock. And Japan's Emperor Naruhito has formally marked his ascension to the throne at a ceremony at the Imperial Palace in Tokyo this morning. Bloomberg's Isabel Reynolds reports on the ceremony attended by royalty and political leaders from around the world.
Courtiers drew back purple curtains on 2 thrones to reveal Emperor Naruhito and his consort, Empress Masako, both clad in traditional silk. Naruhito made a brief speech expressing hopes for the further development of Japan, and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe then led 3 cheers of banzai. The ceremony will be followed by a series of banquets over the coming days. In Tokyo, Isabel Reynolds, Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
Global News 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Leanne Gerrans. This is Bloomberg Naira.
Leanne, thank you so much. Now in the morning sport, here's Lewis Mason.
Sheffield United boss Chris Wilder thinks his team sent out a message to the Premier League with their 1-0 victory over Arsenal last night. Lys Mousset scored the winner at Bramall Lane to take his team into the top half of the table. Meanwhile, Arsenal manager Unai Emery says his team is still developing. They missed the chance to move to 3rd place in the Premier League because of their defeat in Sheffield. Liverpool players dominate the list for this year's Ballon d'Or trophy, with the Anfield club having 7 nominees. Virgil van Dijk, Sadio Mane and goalkeeper Alisson are among the Merseysiders, hoping to pick up the award for the world's best footballer in December. And Carl Edmund's poor run of form continues. He's been beaten in the first round of tennis's Vienna Open. He lost 3-6, 6-3, 6-4 against Italy's Matteo Berrettini, stretching his losing streak to 8 matches.
When it comes to Brexit,
that was Lewis Mason with all the latest sport. And as we get into the full swing of earnings season for the 3rd quarter, we've got a raft of companies reporting this week. After US banks kicked things off last week, we'll see how European banks are faring in the falling rate environment. UBS reported this morning, of course. Other banks coming up this week include RBS and Barclays, as well as the Scandinavian banks Nordea and Swedbank. We'll also get earnings from the auto sector. Closely watching for these numbers after poor manufacturing data out of the US. PSA Group, Tesla and Ford Motors kick things off with results tomorrow. This is Daybreak Europe. This is
and will ensure the integrity of the single market.
Why has J.D. Power ranked Commonwealth Financial Network #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms for the 6th straight time? We think it comes down to one thing, you. Because it's your input and feedback that keeps us focused on what's most important to you and your clients, and continually pushes us to be the best we can be. Maybe that's why we receive top marks in every category of the J.D. Power 2019 Advisor Satisfaction Survey. They named us #1 in client support, #1 in firm leadership, #1 in operational support, #1 in compensation, #1 in professional development support, and #1 in technology support. Ready to partner with the best? Call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com. And feel the power. Member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor. For 2019 J.D. Power Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
You knew the risks when you decided to drive drunk. There could be a crash. People could get hurt or killed. But that didn't stop you, did it? You knew you could get arrested. You could incur huge legal expenses, and you could possibly even lose your job. You were well aware of the consequences of driving drunk. But one thing's for sure, you were wrong when you said it was no big deal. Drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. She wasn't really sure where she was at.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Influential conversations from Bloomberg Television. Here's Taylor Briggs.
Schools across the country are looking for ways to help ensure safety across their campuses in an event of an emergency. One company working to leverage technology to notify on-site personnel and first responders is Rave Mobile Safety. For more, I bring in Todd Peet. He is the CEO of Rave Mobile Safety, and he joins me from Boston. Talk to me about the business model of the app. How does it work?
For the Panic app in particular, we license this technology to public safety agencies and or school districts. We're deployed in almost 10,000 schools across the nation. At this point, it is software as a service, so there's an annual fee. We handle all the training, maintenance, deployment services. So in particular, the state of Louisiana, for example, we work closely with the state police department to roll it out across the state.
And what are some of your future initiatives to further integrate with first responders?
Yeah, that's a great question, Taylor. We actually are pretty broad in our footprint, well beyond just school safety. We do a lot in 911 centers, emergency management agencies. Really, we view our customers and as anybody that's looking to better connect with the populations they protect. So between 10,000 schools, we've got half the colleges and universities in the country, and a lot of 911 centers and responder agencies.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg mobile app, or check your local cable listings.
Any kinds of
markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg's European headquarters in London, I'm Roger Hearing. Time for a Bloomberg Radio Business Flash. We go over to the first word breaking news desk for today's morning call. Here's Michael Reed. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Roger. A relatively muted start in Europe this morning. The Euro Stoxx 50 broadly flat, DAX up around 0.1%, sector-wise tech and autos, as well as basic resources trade the best this morning. UBS is up 2.5%. They've got big bank earnings underway in Europe with decent numbers, decent third quarter net, pushed the stock to the upside. Relatively quiet in the bond space, but Treasury futures trade off the overnight lows, cash curves pull flatter a touch. 10-year Treasury yields off a basis point having been closed during Asia for a Japanese holiday. In Europe, peripheral spreads are widening a touch to call. We've recently had around the headlines from the EU suggesting that next year's budget plans from France and Italy are seen in breach of EU rules. That's pushed the euro slightly softer, but it's mostly quiet in the FX space. The New Zealand dollar has extended recent outperformance versus G10 peers. Canadian dollar little changed after the Canadian election. Coming up today, it's relatively quiet for European data. We get public finances and CPI trends in the UK, stateside existing home sales, and the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index. For Brexit, PM Johnson introduced a withdrawal agreement bill yesterday evening. We get the second reading debate starting at 12:30 London, with a vote on the second reading around 7 p.m. this evening. For third quarter earnings pre-market, look out for numbers from Biogen, McDonald's, UBS, and Procter & Gamble. That's it from me. To hear live breaking news at SQA on the Bloomberg Terminal. Roger.
Thanks, Michael. That's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Now here's Liam Garrans with more on what's going on around the world.
Roger, good morning. Abortion has been decriminalised in Northern Ireland. A last-minute attempt by politicians to stop it was blocked, meaning the laws have been brought in line with the rest of the UK. Medical providers will start offering termination services in the region from March next year. It's been hailed by many as a watershed moment for women's rights. In Bolivia, clashes have broken out as President Evo Morales looks set to win the re-election in controversial circumstances. Counting was halting on Sunday as it looked as if the vote was heading towards a second runoff. But when it resumed, the president had just enough to win outright. His rival Carlos Mesa says he will not recognise that result. And finally, hundreds of thousands of Californians again face the prospect of another deliberate blackout. The bankrupt utility PG&E is considering a shut-off to more than 200,000 homes and businesses this week in the northern part of the state. The company is trying to keep its power lines from starting wildfires. Global News 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Leanne Gerrans. This is Bloomberg Naira.
Leanne, thank you so much. Now back to earnings, and UBS beating on the bottom line as wealth management assets reached a record high. The bank delivered over $1 billion in net attributable profit. And speaking to Bloomberg's Manus Cranny, CEO Sergio Amotti struck an upbeat tone about this quarter following challenges, or third quarter rather, following challenges earlier in the year.
Still very challenging market conditions, but I'm glad that we were able to bring a solid performance in this difficult context.
In terms of the investment bank, profits down by 59%. You announce a restructuring. What does that mean? What does it look like?
Look, market conditions in the last few quarters have been very challenging, and for sure they are not the market conditions that are also favoring our business nation and strategic choices. We are much more skewed towards Europe and Asia than we are into the US in our businesses, and this is still a business where the US is dominating both in terms of calendar, in terms of business activity, and client sentiment is a little bit better than outside the US.
You're going to take $100 million of a charge, $100 million of a charge. What cost savings will you get, and is it going to mean job losses?
I think that we expect in the region of 90 million a year cost savings out of this charges. So, and most importantly, I think that it's going to give us an opportunity to refocus our activities. For example, in the markets business, we will really focus on our execution, on our structuring, on our financing businesses, leveraging all the technology investments we made in the last few years.
Europe remains the most unloved sector, looking across the globe here. Do you think if we do get some sort of resolution on Brexit, that's going to be enough to really move the dial when it comes to sentiment toward European stocks?
Leveraging the expertise we have within the organization.
And will it mean, I mean, you had 5,300 people in that division at the half-year mark, so are there going to be significant job losses?
I don't think that will be significant in the context of the numbers you mentioned, but of course we need to adapt the business to the current market conditions and the new priorities.
Your product of excellence has been, since you scaled back on the rates business, you scaled up on FX. Where is the product excellence going to focus in this restructure?
Still on execution. We are still a leader in equities. We are still a leader in FX. as well as of course we are under resolution of the uncertainty invested or underrepresented in credit and rates, and we saw also good developments on balances in prime brokerage and the financing part of the business. So we will continue to look at those areas in terms of the markets business. In terms of our banking business, as I said before, we focus on
so I think at the margin,
industries and on a global business rather than having a regional approach.
Net new money, the TLAC blog is going because you've got ladles of net new money. $16 billion for the wealth management side of the business. Where did that mostly come from? Where's the flow from?
You know that net new money, we really focus on not on a quarter-on-quarter basis. I'm very happy that we have a positive trend for the year, slightly above the 2% net new money. The vast majority was coming from Asia.
I think we probably have one right now. So I think second, third quarter technical recession. But I think again, a point that I think is important to emphasize is not all recessions are alike. And I think there's a tendency for most investors to think about the last recession, 2007, 2008,
speaking to
which was very severe, combined with financial crisis.
Roger, as well from EU officials. So Donald Tusk is who I want to highlight because he says that they're still consulting leaders on the Brexit extension, and the Brexit delay depends on what MPs decide or don't. And he says that the Brexit extension request makes things more complex. We're also hearing from Jean-Claude Juncker, of course, ahead of the busy week for the UK.
The President of the European Commission described it memorably as saying Brexit is a waste of time and energy. Painfully said it was spending so much time on Brexit. So I think the sort of tone we're getting coming out of the European Parliament at the moment is something of exasperation. But we're talking a lot about this, of course, on Bloomberg Westminster coming up at midday. We'll also be talking live to Sebastian Salek down at Westminster in just a few moments here on Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg market. Stocks started the week with an up session. Investors are hopeful about the trade negotiations between the U.S. and China after hearing some encouraging remarks from Washington and Beijing. Drew Mattis of MetLife tells Bloomberg Radio the trade war and the prolonged Brexit battle in the UK have been a distraction for global investors.
And natural database line. The German tech company also stuck to its 2019 guidance, and it certainly was enough for the investment community. Software shares are trading up nearly 10% this morning, so quite a strong reaction there in the German stock. AMS, meanwhile, reported a more than 40% rise in third quarter revenue, beating expectations. The Apple supplier was boosted by strong performance at its consumer unit and high demand from smartphone makers. The chip maker also forecast fourth quarter sales would be around 30% higher than last year, so quite a strong report from AMS, and shares reacting very well to this announcement of
Are you interested in a challenging and exciting career? One where you can be part of solving complex challenges across industries and geographies. Bloomberg's ever-expanding technology, data, news, and media services foster innovation, empower clients, and offer nearly limitless opportunities for career growth. Visit Bloomberg.com/careers today to view our current job opportunities. Bloomberg LP is an equal opportunity employer. The address once again is Bloomberg.com/careers.
Family properties and investments have been passed to the next generation. But while the business has evolved, has your accountant stayed behind? Burden Accountants and Advisors examines the latest business trends, market conditions, and industry issues to maximize your tax advantages and meet your financial goals. Let Burden use their insight to create innovative tax solutions for your family and your business. Visit BurdenLLP.com to get started. BERDONLLP.com. Burden Accountants and Advisors. We listen, we solve, we do.
Startups and research universities like New Jersey Institute of Technology are fueling the innovation economy. And few people are better positioned to see what's on the horizon in New Jersey than physicist and state representative Andrew Zwicker.
How technology is transforming our financial sector is revolutionary, and so much of that is in New Jersey. We are innovators when it comes to agriculture, and there is opportunity now for great transformation in how are we going to grow food.
Switch to
in an ever-growing population? How do we turn urban centers into agricultural centers? Autonomous vehicles is another one where we have some of the world's leading experts, and how this will transform how those who are either elderly or are visually impaired or mobilely impaired can start to use autonomous vehicles to transform their lives and have access to transportation that we've never had before.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at njit.edu/research.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their businesses strategically, yet the most competitive managers in the market know with the right partner and a flexible operating system, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
Determination and operational strength are both essential factors for growth in asset management. I'm Steve Meyer, President, Head of SEI's Investment Manager Services Division. We know that disruptive forces create opportunities around the world. If you see potential in change, our industry specialists will maximize SEI's integrated platform of data and risk management, global investment operations, compliance support, and investor services to position your asset management business for success. Come grow with us.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/seize change.
Join us in New York City on November 21st as Bloomberg Pursuits convenes the second annual The Year Ahead Luxury. Speakers include Jennifer Hyman, CEO Rent the Runway, Alessandro Bogliolo, CEO Tiffany & Company, Robert A.M. Stern, renowned architect. Supporting sponsor, Diamond Producers Association. Participating sponsor, St. Regis Hotels and Resorts. For more information, go to BloombergLive.com/TYA Luxury. Invitation code radio.
News without analysis is like half a bridge.
Why is the debt to GDP ratio still so important?
Those things, once they're set in place, stay around for years.
Bloomberg Radio, the Bloomberg Business Radio.com and iHeartRadio apps, and BloombergRadio.com.
Now TV.
Broadcasting live to London on DAB Digital Radio, to New York, Bloomberg 1130, to Washington DC, Bloomberg 99.1, to Boston, Bloomberg 106.1, to San Francisco, Bloomberg 960, and around the globe, the Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
8:30 a.m. in London, 9:30 if you're listening in Paris, Frankfurt or Brussels. Good morning everyone, I'm Naira Chahich.
And I'm Roger Hearing, and you're listening to Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
30 minutes into the equity market open in Europe, Roger. I was getting ahead of myself there, about to say, but it's such a big week for earnings globally. We're really in full swing now. And on this Tuesday, we're down 0.2% on the Stock 600. So coming off after we saw some gains yesterday, looking through the industry groups, tech, commodity producers and oil and gas on the upside, personal household and travel and leisure underperforming just a little bit. Regional equity benchmarks set up like so. The FTSE 100 is flat. CAC 40 off a little. The DAX goes nowhere. The IBEX and FTSE MIB ever so slightly weaker. We saw a rally in the US equity market yesterday that took the S&P 500 above 3,000 again. Futures a little subdued right now. NASDAQ futures, S&P E-minis and Dow futures all trading flat. So the optimism that we were seeing yesterday around the trade talks perhaps softening a little today, or at least taking a pause. Yesterday we saw bond yields rise along with equities. They're falling today, so we got to a 180 handle on the Treasury 10-year yield. We're at 178 now, down 2 basis points. The 10-year bund yield is down 1.5 basis points to negative 36. The 10-year gilt yield down more than a basis point at 73. If we take a look at cable as well, of course, we'll get into it in a moment, but a huge week in terms of Boris Johnson getting a vote finally in Parliament on his deal, with all the things that could potentially go wrong with that. Cable off by 0.1%, 129.45, and just taking a look at how oil is trading today as well. WTI and Brent not moving that much. WTI 53.21, Brent at $59 a barrel. Ready?
Now let's have a look at today's top stories. And he said Boris Johnson finally gets a chance to put his Brexit deal to a vote. Twice now the British Prime Minister's been denied a vote on whether members of Parliament support his bill. Later today is Johnson's moment of truth. He'll find out whether Parliament agrees with the general principles, at least, of his proposal. And that's going to be followed by a vote on Johnson's rapid timetable for pushing that bill through.
Yeah, and it is really interesting because we're sort of sitting here and questioning, Roger, whether the bill is going to actually look anything like it does at the moment. By the time any amendments are added, which could very well be the case. And the timetable, it's really sort of trying to sprint it through, isn't it?
It is. It's absolutely punishing. A lot of MPs resent that fact of being bounced into something which they say deserves more consideration, because it is, after all, going to have a huge effect on the UK going forward.
And turning to trade, something, of course, which is having a huge effect on the global economy, President Trump is raising expectations that the US and China could sign an initial trade deal next month. The President says China has indicated negotiations over an agreement are advancing. He says Beijing already has begun buying American farm products. But Wilbur Ross has been talking about the fact that the devil is in the detail.
As it always is. Now, in top earnings this morning, rich clients at UBS added almost $16 billion in new money last quarter. The inflows lifted assets under management for the affluent to a record $2.5 trillion. UBS posted quarterly profits that beat estimates. The CEO, Sergio Motti, spoke to Bloomberg earlier this morning.
Still very challenging market conditions, but I'm glad that we were able to bring a solid
trading session, and it's been a bit on the choppy side. The stock 600
and the
now
Swiss bank says it's going to make a $100 million charge in the fourth quarter
at one point, really teetering around the flat line. Now, it's some interesting mix among the different sectors here. And investors in Europe coming off of a strong day yesterday, so perhaps a little bit of profit taking there. The stock 600 ended up 0.6% higher yesterday. We saw a very strong bid for banks, a very strong bid for basic resources. So perhaps just a little bit of a retreat from yesterday. We did, of course, get a solid handover from Wall Street, a generally solid handover from Asia as well. And here in Europe, in addition to that optimism around US-China trade, we're obviously keeping a very close eye on Brexit.
Sebastian,
the
situation is that he has two votes tonight. One, the principle of whether this bill goes through, and the second one on the timetable. How do you think he's likely to do on either of them?
Investors are trying to make sense of all of that at the same time digesting a raft of corporate earnings. Well, let's take a look at the sectors and see what the split looks like, perhaps giving us a little bit of insight into how investors are thinking this morning. At the top of the board, we've got technology up nearly 0.7%. Within that basket, AMS, our shares trading very strongly. We'll take a closer look at that in just a moment. Autos also performing well, up about a 0.6%. And basic resources, another strong day for this sector, up about 0.5%. Then at the bottom of the board, we've got healthcare down about 0.8%. Travel and leisure, household goods, rounding out the worst performing sectors of the morning. Well, let's take a look at the single stocks there and see what is making up the biggest moves this morning. AMS, as I mentioned, shares there up nearly 4%. They came out with a strong update this morning. Reckitt Benckiser, in contrast, shares there down 5.7%. They came out and they cut their full year guidance, not once, but for the second time in 2019. TUI shares, the second worst performer in the stock 600, shares there down nearly 5%, and that comes on the back of a Morgan Stanley cutting their recommendation on this stock to equal weight from overweight.
Great to speak to you again. So if we do get through that second reading and then the amendments start coming forward, we could end up with a bill that looks very different to what it looks like now. What does that mean for the third reading? Is it actually likely that this could get passed this week? And I understand that we're trying to rush it through and not everyone's happy with that, but a lot of analysts out there have been raising their targets for sterling on the assumption that the bill does get voted through.
The Juncker message very clear: no ratification in Europe until it's been ratified in the UK first.
Exactly, but that has always been the position from the European Parliament. They do not want to vote on this exit agreement before they have a clear yes from the House of Commons. Now let's get into some of these comments that we just got from both Juncker and Tusk speaking in European Parliament in Strasbourg. Juncker made some strong comments saying that Brexit is a waste of time and energy. So you can see there how frustrated this side of the English Channel is when it comes to Brexit. Donald Tusk, the president of the European Council, who chairs these meetings and the summits, I should say, here in Brussels, and who is also talking about the potential extension with the 27 member states. He said that a no-deal Brexit will never be the decision of the
Labour Party and the SNP have all been
quite up for an election, but they didn't want it until after the deadline passed. I suppose if they went for one now, the deadline would have passed, so they would be safe in the knowledge, I suppose, the EU would grant an extension and a no-deal Brexit would not happen.
I'm consulting the leaders on how to react,
will want to be careful
and will decide in the coming days.
About going too soon, because
it is obvious that the result of these consultations will very much depend on what the British Parliament decides or doesn't decide.
But then you have to look at the polls.
We should be ready for every scenario.
Competition from the Lib Dems who have
one
that very
thing must
clear
be clear.
pro-Remain,
As I said to Prime Minister Johnson on Saturday,
into the Labour vote.
no-deal Brexit will never be our decision.
Even if they want to go for an election.
So these comments from Donald Tusk, they really show that the 27 member states are talking and preparing for an extension. Now, the question that they have, then it's very open at this stage, is really for what purpose? And in order to answer that question, they need more clarity from the House of Commons, because there are two potential scenarios here when it comes to an extension. On the one hand, the 27 leaders could agree to a delay for reasons to allow for more laws to be implemented in the UK.
Hey, Roger. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has won a second term in Canada's election, but has fallen short of a majority. Bloomberg's Josh Wingrove has all those details.
Well, then the 27 leaders will have to gather again here in Brussels for an emergency summit to figure out what they're going to do about Brexit. Now, I would like to give you just a few more perspective when it comes to some perspective about the next phase of the Brexit process, because if indeed this deal gets approved in the House of Commons, then
crossing over to Chile,
to
President Sebastian Pinera is calling for dialogue to resolve days of violent anti-government protests and says he'll meet political leaders tomorrow for talks on resolving the crisis. The United Nations has condemned the violence after protesters' clashes have left at least 11 people dead. Police used tear gas and water cannons on Monday to break up demonstrations in the capital, Santiago. In Lebanon, the government has raised the tax on banks and cut ministers' salaries by half. This is part of a plan to avoid a financial meltdown and appease tens of thousands of protesters. Bloomberg's Donna Craich has more on the unrest.
Protests entered their fifth day on Monday.
Many still unhappy with what the government is offering, and they insist on a change to the political class they accuse of widespread corruption. The government seeks to carry out major structural and fiscal reforms in a few months to regain investor confidence, unlock billions in aid, and keep the country afloat. Beirut, Donna Craich, Bloomberg, Daybreak Europe.
And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has failed in his bid to form a new coalition government. He's been forced to return the mandate to the country's president. President Rivlin now plans to pass that right to opposition leader and former military chief Benny Gantz, who is expected to face an equally difficult task. Two inconclusive elections this year have left Israel in political deadlock. Global news 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Leanne Gerrans. This is Bloomberg Mira.
Leanne, thank you so much. Now, coming up on Bloomberg Daybreak Europe, Patrick Armstrong, CIO at Purely Wealth, joins us in the studio next. Lots to talk about. Of course, we're in full swing of earnings season, so we'll be talking about banks with UBS surprising to the upside. This is
different capitals, and he's often being
my name is Hunter Hayes. I know myself, and I know my buzz warning signs.
Listening to the
One
national
shot is
concerns
about
and then
knowing my limits or not necessarily knowing
so
my
when it
limits.
comes to unity from on the European side, clearly Brexit was a plus.
One of the signs that I'm starting to feel a little buzz is when I start solving not only my own problems,
and of course,
but
what we just
the
heard from
entire world's
Strasbourg there from Donald Tusk and
When I know I'm
Jean-Claude
going out,
Juncker.
I know
Now,
I'm going to
British
start
lawmakers will
with calling for
today
red.
vote on the legislation
Buzz driving
required
is
to
Trump
move forward
driving.
in the
A
Brexit
message brought
process
to you by
after
NHTSA
Prime
and
Minister
the Ad
Boris
Council.
Johnson, of course,
Something
failed to
remarkable
secure a
happens
meaningful
when
vote
just the
on
right
his
elements
Brexit
come
deal
together.
yesterday. Steve joins
Ideas
us
with
from
technology,
Westminster. Steve,
data with
really
inspiration,
strong words there from Donald Tusk
investors
and
with
Jean-Claude Juncker,
solutions.
firmly
This
saying
is
that
what
a no-deal
Invesco
Brexit
does
will never
every day,
be their
because they
decision,
believe
putting
the
the ball
possibilities
firmly
of
in the
life and
UK's
investing
court. So
are
where do things
greater
stand
when we
now
come
at
together.
Westminster?
Invesco.
Let's invest in greater possibilities together. To learn more, visit Invesco.com.
The Prime Minister can't make any further headway. And at the moment, of course, the Prime Minister
is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrars, as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
October 31st. Well, of course they would give an extension because at the end of the day, let's face it, the European Union, shock horror for all of our viewers out there, is Europhile. Hence, it wants the Brits to stay in. It would like a second referendum. It would like
yes, but who has the power to stop this?
If there's any hope of that happening as a plan B, then of course they would go for it as well. So in the meantime, let's see what happens here in Parliament over the next 36, 48 hours or so. Because let's face it, the government pretty much needs to win every vote at every stage, which concludes today the second reading of the withdrawal agreement bill, 110 pages, 125 pages of explanatory notes to be voted upon. The government can win that one, then they're going to get their programme motion, which would have this extraordinary accelerated programme of decision-making over the withdrawal agreement bill, which would also entail them facing down and defeating amendments which could include customs union, which could include a second confirmatory referendum, which could include basically stopping the de facto hard
Why do
Brexit
hedge funds and other alternative managers rely on Pershing? Mark Alderani, a managing director at BNY Mellon's Pershing and head of Prime Services, explains.
In today's environment of market volatility, Pershing's Prime Services is well positioned to support the needs of hedge funds and other alternative investment managers. Whether it's customized financing or securities lending solutions, platform access, or business expansion, BNY Mellon's Pershing is a prime broker who's committed to this business and agile enough to meet your evolving demands. Pershing helps to solve the needs of clients by advocating for them, providing unwavering strength, deep supply, and award-winning service that is at the core of everything we do. Find out what sets Pershing's prime brokerage team apart.
Learn more about the unique and industry-leading solutions for hedge funds and other alternative managers offered by BNY Mellon's Pershing. Visit our website at Pershing.com. Pershing LLC, member FINRA, NYSE,
Just had some comments crossing this morning. This is
Market Insight from Bloomberg's brightest weekday mornings on Bloomberg 1130.
I'm Lisa Abramowitz.
And I'm Paul Sweeney. We'll chat with the data science editor from Yelp on the Q3 Yelp Economic Survey.
Plus, we'll have a conversation with Greg Hahn, Chief Investment Officer for Winthrop Capital Management.
Bloomberg Markets today at 10 a.m. on the global business news leader, Bloomberg 1130, the Bloomberg Business app, and BloombergRadio.com. Bloomberg, the world is listening. In-depth analysis, concise reporting, need-to-know global business news. Around the world and across the markets, Bloomberg connects the dots for decision makers. Stay on top of today's headlines. Follow big breakthroughs in tech. Understand the latest political issues. See how the world's wealthiest are spending their money. Track what's happening in the markets, and much more. Subscribe today to Bloomberg, the global standard for business reporting. Get it all at Bloomberg.com/subscriptions.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then go to Babbel.com, download the app, and try it for free. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition competition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just go to Babbel.com and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com and try it for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Thank you very much for the feedback. We're going to squeeze in a quick break.
Markets, headlines and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app and TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash. From Bloomberg's European headquarters in London, I'm Roger Hearing with this Bloomberg Radio Business Flash. European stocks have been edging lower after quite a strong Asian session, with the MSCI AP finishing 0.2% up, but currently it's red across the screen. In Europe, Stock 600 down 0.4%, FTSE 100 down 0.2%, the CAC down 0.5%, the DAX a little moved at the moment, and the IBEX down 0.3%. Looking ahead to the US opening, S&P E-mini is currently barely moved at all, and of course a lot of interest there as to whether the S&P will close above 3,000, which it did on Monday, whether it will still be around there. That's less than 1% from something of a record on that front. And we're also, of course, looking very closely this morning at cable, given what's happening with Brexit at the moment. And currently, cable's hovering at the 1.2945 handle. It's around down 0.1% really on what was happening before, but it had been bursting through that 1.3 yesterday, so we could see reaction, of course, to that depending on the votes tonight coming in London. And looking at oil, WTI oil 53.24 at the moment, down 0.1%. Brent crude 58.86, down 0.2%. That's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Now here's Leanne Gerrans with more on what's going on around the world. Leanne.
Roger, good morning. Abortion has been decriminalised in Northern Ireland. A last-minute attempt by politicians to stop it was blocked, meaning the laws have been brought in line with the rest of the UK. Medical providers will start offering termination services in the region from March next year. It's been hailed by many as a watershed moment for women's rights. Islamic State by Shamima Begum will start her appeal against the decision to revoke her British citizenship. That's happening later today. The 20-year-old was just 15 when she left the UK for Syria to join Islamic State. The four-day hearing in London is expected to consider whether the decision by then Home Secretary Sajid Javid was unlawful because it rendered her stateless. And finally, England has been named the world's second-best tourist destination to visit in 2020. Guidebook firm Lonely Planet has put it down to what it's calling the country's timeless treasures and a wow factor. Bhutan has taken the top spot. Global News 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Leanne Gerrans. This is Bloomberg. Roger.
So Leanne, maybe the UK can become more of a tourist economy in the future. It might have to be.
Well, we were saying this earlier, weren't we? Wow, the UK over the Maldives, over all these really exotic places, but apparently it's because of the magical history tour that is Northumberland's coast. So there's lots of amazing places to explore.
I've actually been there. It is absolutely stunning. You've got castles, you've got beaches, really unspoiled. Bamber, I've been there. Yeah, it's beautiful. And really just sort of unspoiled, almost wild beaches. So yeah, I fully agree.
Lovely area. Well, let's hope we have more than history to deal with. Yeah. But of course, history's been made at the moment.
Well, welcome back to Having the Green here at Westminster.
Absolutely. Third time lucky for Boris Johnson, perhaps this week. Big week ahead for Parliament. Patrick Armstrong, CIO of Purely Wealth, is in the studio to take us through all his decisions at the moment. So Patrick, people have been getting quite optimistic about the deal getting through, and so we've seen a lot of targets revised for cable. Would you be wanting to add a lot more to the pound here? I know you already have to some extent.
We're not adding more right here. We think what's been ruled out is basically the no-deal Brexit almost at this point. It's very hard to see a scenario where UK crashes out. If we get a referendum on a deal, if we get a deal, all of those things should lead to moderate upside in sterling. But I think we've had the big move right now, so I don't think there's a lot in it.
Why is it challenging?
There's a few more twists and turns to come. If forced to pick, I'd rather be long sterling versus the dollar than short, but I think most of the moves will already happen.
And it's the same with you, Tom. You get 3 hours this evening, you've got 12 hours tomorrow,
we don't have a meaningful position in them right now. Even with the stronger sterling, I'm still more attracted to the business models of the larger cap companies that are going to be hurt by a larger
next as everyone's going on about?
Well, I mean, there are two issues there. Yes, as a party, the Lib Dems, we are implacably opposed to Brexit.
But whatever's in this 110 pages, you're against it.
However, of course, in this 110 pages, there will be issues on which we want to express views. So, for instance, the issue of whether settled status, for instance, the new status that EU citizens can achieve, whether that is something that has a deadline by which they have to achieve it, or if, for instance, someone forgets,
for the very reason that you just outlined.
Yeah, we haven't. Should they really be at risk of deportation? Because there probably are some companies that are
issues within that 110 pages
that whether you believe in Brexit or not, you still want to focus on from a scrutiny point of view.
I'll ask you about the tactics, and clearly I guess that the opposition, Joe Swinson, and everyone don't want to tell us all the tactics.
Well, let's move on to some of what else is happening, and obviously it's a very big week for
we've heard about customs union, we've heard about second confirmatory referendum, we've heard about
having quite a good time, in fact.
Idea of extending the transition period as well. But what's the key one for you that you think will get through this time around?
I actually don't think bank earnings are going to come out very strong.
Some of the key amendments which I suspect may emerge over the next 24 hours or so. It's quite possible that the customs union one, for instance, is one around which members will gravitate because, of course, it came quite close the last time round, and it may well be that Lib Dems will back that. But I think the critical thing is this issue of the programme motion, because, of course, if the programme motion is defeated, we may well not be into debating the customs union amendment at all. So I think that is where the focus is now, because, frankly, debating a key constitutional bill of this nature in 3 days, that has never happened before. You mentioned the US banks, and I know that you own Citi and JP Morgan. In terms of owning those two in particular, is that because your reasoning is more to do with those that lean on the strength of the US consumer rather than having any faith that revenue is going to pick up or trading is going to keep outperforming or anything like that?
Trading is a bit of a wild card. In many ways, good results on the trading side of things, but you can't use that as a prediction because they traded well this quarter. It's going to try to limit its future earnings there. It's like US consumers good. They're not trading at ridiculous multiples. They're not incredibly cheap anymore. You said they've actually had a nice run over the last 2 or 3 months. But I think they're fairly valued. If we do not have a recession, we don't think we do.
We've talked off camera about the appetite of the British people, the electorate, to just get on with other issues. Issues that affect Carl Shorten, Wellington, your constituency as well. People are sick of Brexit in many ways, is the impression I'm getting as well. Do MPs realise that and actually kind of want to find an ending? Because we've had a lot of votes, whether it be under Mrs May or Mrs Johnson, that have gone against the government. But we haven't actually seen a majority for pretty much anything yet.
On a recession, maybe next year Germany, Italy definitely are. The Eurozone as a whole, we don't think will fall into a recession. We think it'll grow below 1%, but actually closer to 1
it's a catastrophic deal for UK, for jobs, people's livelihoods. But if it goes through, then what happens from the 1st of November is that we engage in probably 6, 7, 8 years of negotiations with the European Union about what our new relationship with them is going to be like in the future. If people want this to finish, the fastest way of finishing it is actually to put Boris Johnson's deal to a referendum where people can choose between his deal and staying in the European Union. We get the result of that referendum, and then if people are voted to remain, we saw the S&P 500 top 3,000 again yesterday, largely on hopes around the trade talks. Are risk assets getting ahead of themselves as we hear that there might be some prospect of a deal at the APEC summit in November?
Tom Brake, who is the MP for Carl Shorten, also the Liberal Democrat spokesperson for Brexit. Let me hand it back to the studio.
Wonderful, thanks very much, Steve. I want to come back to Antoine. One of your calls, underweight gilt, so UK debt, why are you a little cautious?
It's not me, it's the
I don't think there's an all-encompassing trade deal by any means. You may get a trade truce and they may call it a deal. China's already importing more agricultural commodities, and they've been saying that every month over the last 5 months as well.
Not sure we get there, though.
The big picture issues are unresolvable. If it leads to a truce in tariffs, that may be enough to put a support under markets right now, and that's probably where things are heading. Most likely we get there, but I wouldn't call it a certainty because we've been here before where the trade deal's 90% done, and then China disagreed on how the enforcement mechanism would happen. I still think that's going to be.
A quick word on U.S.-China trade.
We hear a lot from the US end. We can't not hear
it, I suppose, what do you think the markets are pricing in at this stage?
Well, we don't hear that much necessarily from the China end as to what they actually want and the concerns they have that underlie all this, the data that doesn't look so good. The central banks now injected the largest amount of cash into the banking system since May. I mean, underneath it, do you think the Chinese want to deal with this stage?
Well, China would like the tariffs removed. And basically, they're the ones who have to make concessions to get those tariffs removed. So a status quo was a perfect environment for China. Basically, they had
had a lot of policies that were beneficial and too beneficial for the Chinese economy versus developed trading partners, because the Chinese economy, when it entered WTO, was a very different economy to it is now. So you do need a different regime, you do need different policies. So the pursuit of China, China is going to fight till the end. It's not going to give in on the big picture issues, but it probably is just hoping to have a stalemate at this point where there's no further tariffs rather than looking for a big removal of tariffs that are there.
What does this all mean for the Fed? I was reading some commentary over the weekend that said if we don't get a strong signal that it's 3 cuts and done, we could go all the way to 0. Is it that binary for you?
Well, I do actually think they're very data dependent. I don't think 0 is on the horizon. We don't think there's a recession, so there's no need for 0. October we expect a cut. If they weren't going to cut, they would be already calling it back, because the market's pricing in 90%. You don't let it get to the last week and shock the market, because you don't want to shock the market at this point. But there's a lot of Fed members who don't want this cut. They didn't want the last cut. And I think if you do get the trade deal we just talked about, that's one of the big issues that's led the rate cuts that have already happened. So if we do get a trade deal, I think the October cut may be the last we see for a while.
All right, Patrick, thanks very much indeed. Patrick Armstrong, CIO of Pyramid Wealth, there with us in the London studio. Going on to television, I think, next.
That's it, yes.
So tune in there. Thanks very much from us. And coming up here on Daybreak Europe, Matt Miller will be back speaking to Louise Dudley, Portfolio Manager at Hermes Investment Management. You missed a selection of our best interviews at BloombergRadio.com or your Bloomberg Business app. This is Daybreak Europe. This is Bloomberg.
Find out more about how to prepare. Follow the step-by-step guide at gov.uk/Brexit-traders.
Parents, the half price on toys at Sainsbury's right now.
Feel good car buying from findandfundmycar.com is the place where you can find quality used cars from trusted dealers rated by you, and where you can fund your car with finance to fit your budget. It's feel good car buying all in one place.
At first we were well into it. Since we sold with them, I haven't been able to stop going on about them, have I, dear?
No, love.
I've been telling everyone, family, friends, that confused guy at the supermarket.
Yeah, you haven't really shut up about that.
But seriously, did I tell you about that purple bricks estate agent, Michael?
I met him too.
We could talk to him whenever. Anything we asked, he could do it.
That's enough now,
He was brilliant, always available to chat on the phone.
Your small actions can have a real impact with Shell. Drive carbon neutral by filling up and using Shell Go Plus today. Make the change. Drive carbon neutral. Shell. Go well. See goplus.shell.com/CO2 for
Creative
details.
thinkers, tech lovers, problem
Teaching
solvers.
shapes lives.
Are you going to stand
if
by
you're
and
considering
watch?
a career in teaching,
Well, show
you could
the
be
world
eligible
what
for a
you've got.
£26,000
Join others around
tax-free
the
training
UK on an
bursary.
EY
Find
degree
out about the
apprenticeship
financial
in digital
support
and
to help
technology,
you start your
and
career
earn
in
a
the
salary
classroom.
working with
Teaching
exciting
every
businesses
lesson
while
shapes a
studying towards a
life.
degree.
Search Get Into
Don't let the
Teaching.
future pass
Bursary
you
subject
by.
eligibility.
Get
Selected
involved.
subjects only.
London,
Switch to Vodafone, the UK's best mobile network, and be unlimited, because the best phones deserve the best network and our new unlimited data plan. The future is exciting. Ready? Vodafone.
Maxed out speeds apply to unlimited
Forget
data.
your
Best network is
fragmented,
voted by
jumbled
readers of
inbox
trusted
and
reviews.
make the
Terms at
change to
vodafone.co.uk/unlimited.
World 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is Bloomberg Radio.
This is Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
External pressure is going to be an opportunity for reform in China. Liquidity more generally across financial markets is an issue and a concern. Spanish banks in particular are in a much better place than they were 5 years ago.
It wouldn't be great to have a drawn-out trade conflict with the US or indeed with anybody else, but
I've never been one to prophesy where sterling will be, and you're a madman if you think you can.
Bloomberg Daybreak Europe on Bloomberg Radio.
Good morning from London and Berlin. I'm Matt Miller here in the German capital. You're listening to Daybreak Europe on London DAB Digital Radio, or maybe you're up early in New York. Good morning on Sirius XM. Let's take a quick look first off the data. We check it for you every 15 minutes here on Bloomberg Television, and we've seen markets, equity indexes open lower this morning throughout Europe, with the exception of Frankfurt. The DAX right now is little changed. We do see the CAC 40 in Paris down 0.4%. The FTSE 100 in London down 0.2%. And the other continental indexes are down as well, with the exception of the OMX in Stockholm, which is gaining about 0.4% right now. In terms of the movers that we see, Volvo is the reason you see the OMX up. It's gaining more than 2%. And we've had other news out from former car makers that now do other stuff, or they have split up. For example, I'm talking about Volvo, the truck maker, not the famous station wagon maker that now belongs to Geely. Saab, which used to make I loved the 900 and then the 93. The other Saab is, of course, an airplane engine maker. They also came out with an updated outlook, a raised outlook, and they're also doing well. So Saab shares are up. And then we do see the actual automakers doing well in today's trade. In terms of what we see, if you're getting ready for the U.S. Open, we had all green arrows across U.S. equity index futures a little bit earlier.
All right. Well,
now we see them all down. Not a huge drop, each off less than 0.1%, but Dow, Jones, S&P 500, and NASDAQ E-mini futures are all falling ahead of the open in New York. In terms of the 10-year yield, we didn't have it trading overnight because Japan was closed for a holiday, but now that the UK is open for business, we see investors buying the debt, pushing the yield down to 1.7782%. And in terms of the pound, right now it's trading at $1.2948 as we await that big Brexit vote at 7 p.m. London time tonight. This week's earnings season is really getting into full swings. We got autos, we got tech stocks, European banks, all in focus. Just this morning, UBS beat on the top and the bottom line. It said that its wealth management assets reached a record high. Rich clients added nearly $16 billion in the quarter. But according to our next guest, the positive results need to be seen in the light of low expectations. Investment management. Louise, what do you expect from European companies this earnings season?
So I think to a certain extent quite a mixture. We're seeing some very mixed signals. We saw today and at the tail end of last week as well. Very, very mixed bag depending on their overall global exposure, which area of the market. Definitely seeing weaker numbers from the more manufacturing areas, and actually the consumer side holding up a lot better.
Which is currently up
so
about 1.8%.
Are we going to see a European recession? And if we do, how will that affect earnings and the stock prices behind them?
So certainly yesterday we had Germany's central bank warning that we may see a recession from them. So the official numbers aren't out till November 14th, but that warning flag is perhaps maybe some of the reasons for some of the negativity within Europe today. However, the rest of Europe is also contending with other issues as well. We've had the recent news around Spain in terms of a potential election and the Catalan area. Within Italy, within Greece, there aren't too many kind of positives out there. That said, there are other areas of the market that are exposed to the more emerging markets. So although everyone's talking about dampened growth from EM, particularly China, it is still looking around 6.2, 6.3%, which is obviously a lot greater than the rest of Europe. So those companies, though based in Europe with the global earnings, are perhaps the ones that are going to hold us up within the European Union.
Are there specific industry groups that you like? I mean, I can think of, big exporters like car makers. What else is there?
For the most part, actually, we're looking more from a sector perspective, very conscious to the kind of dampened global expectations for growth, and therefore looking more towards the defensive names, particularly those companies with the more stable cash flows, those with a diversified revenue stream are the ones that are looking attractive. Also, yield is, although quite expensive, is something that investors are favouring as well. So definitely looking more towards those defensive, those actually large cap names. If we are starting to see more negative sentiment and more of a negative bearish pullback.
Are you? I mean, when I think of companies like Unilever, Nestle, Reckitt Benckiser. I'm a little bit worried. Well, mainly today because Reckitt cut its forecast. But does the consumer hold up through this?
So, at the moment, we are still seeing those mixed messages, but certainly up until now, we have seen that. Although, actually, kind of the latest kind of global numbers are the lowest that we've seen since 2016. Actually, up until now, it has been quite strong. So there is a little bit of wait and see going on. But obviously, Brexit is one of those key kind of. Hopefully, we'll get some resolution in the next week or so.
What kind of? Would you be okay with another delay through to the end of the year as long as you've got a bill to work on?
I think for the most part, companies are becoming a bit more impatient and are looking for, we haven't seen the companies coming out and making big statements as we did earlier in the year, kind of in favour of Remain or in favour of one way or another. So I think companies themselves have started or have already implemented their plans such that that's already in place and they're positioned for some type of breakaway, and so therefore expectations aren't going to change too much, and a lot of it's already baked in.
Speaking of baked in, I just had to bring you some headlines here. Prosus and the Just Eat board have not managed to reach an agreement, but Prosus is offering 710 pence in cash per share for Just Eat. The shares were suspended and they've opened up 21%. That's above the offer price. I just wanted to bring you those breaking headlines in case you're watching one of these stocks. And of course, it's been a real battle in terms of these kind of businesses. What do you think of these new sort of techie businesses that cater to consumers? Is there anything that you particularly like? Any stock that you get excited about when you wake up in the morning?
So certainly these companies that are well positioned in terms of data, certainly in terms of the optimization and the usage of data to give consumers better experience, to give them a kind of a closer feel for companies and what they're doing closer to the products, such that they can have more customization in terms of what they get, are certainly companies that we're looking at that are part of the kind of disruption. At the same time, there is still companies and there's still lots of kind of potentially incumbent regulation that's coming in, particularly around data privacy. Are these companies growing too quickly? Do they have the right kind of broader expertise, particularly with policymakers, such that they can ensure that they maintain their brand through some of these potentially quite damaging issues from a reputational perspective?
All right, Louise, thanks very much for your time this morning. Louise Dudley has been on Bloomberg Television with me this morning and now on Bloomberg Radio with us. She's a portfolio manager at Hermes Investment Management. Now let's get over to Leanne Gerrans for your global news headlines. Leanne?
Matt, good morning. Let's start by recapping on Brexit. Boris Johnson will find out tonight if he has any chance of getting his Brexit deal through Parliament. The second reading vote on the government's EU withdrawal agreement bill is scheduled to take place at 7 p.m. UK time. Analysis of MP's previous vote suggests Johnson probably has just enough support to win, but he will immediately face a more difficult vote on his rapid timetable for pushing the bill through Parliament. Thousands of protesters gathered in city squares around Chile yesterday after a weekend of riots and looting that left 11 dead. From Santiago, Bloomberg's Eduardo Thompson reports.
Chile's President Sebastián Piñera vowed to meet today with leaders of all political parties to reach a social accord to put an end to 4 days of protests, riots, and looting sparked by a rise in subway fares. Protesters demand measures against income inequality and the return of the military to their bases after the president announced a state of emergency on Saturday. In Santiago, Eduardo Thompson, Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
Justin Trudeau has won a second term as Canada's Prime Minister, but with a reduced mandate that will force him to rely on other parties to govern. Trudeau's Liberal Party won Law's leading 156 electoral districts, short of the 170 needed for a majority. In Canada's election 4 years ago, the Liberal Party secured a majority to govern alone. And Japanese Emperor Naruhito has formally marked his ascension to the throne at a ceremony at the Imperial Palace in Tokyo this morning. Bloomberg's Isabel Reynolds reports on the ceremony attended by royalty and political leaders from around the world.
Courtiers drew back purple curtains on two thrones to reveal Emperor Naruhito and his consort, Empress Masako, both clad in traditional silk. Naruhito made a brief speech expressing hopes for the further development of Japan, and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe then led 3 cheers of Banzai. The ceremony will be followed by a series of banquets over the coming days. In Tokyo, Isabel Reynolds, Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
Global News 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Leanne Gerrans. This is Bloomberg Matt.
Leanne, thanks very much for that. Leanne Gerrans there with your global news headlines. Now let's get the European sports report. Then we go to Lewis Mason. Lewis?
Sheffield United boss Chris Wilder thinks his team sent out a message to the Premier League with their 1-0 victory over Arsenal last night. Lys Mousset scored the winner at Bramall Lane to take his team into the top half of the table. Meanwhile, Arsenal manager Unai Emery says his team is still developing. They missed the chance to move to third place in the Premier League because of their defeat in Sheffield. Liverpool players dominate the list for this year's Ballon d'Or trophy, with the Anfield club having 7 nominees. Virgil van Dijk, Sadio Mane and goalkeeper Alisson are among the Merseysiders, hoping to pick up the award for the world's best footballer in December. And Carl Edmund's poor run of form continues. He's been beaten in the first round of tennis's Vienna Open. He lost 3-6, 6-3, 6-4 against Italy's Matteo Berrettini, stretching his losing streak to 8 matches.
Now let's get the U.S. sports beat thoughts.
Monday Night Football in MetLife, such a lopsided win for the Patriots. Jets fans probably thought about asking for a refund. Patriots rolled 33-0. Sam Darnold throwing 4 interceptions. The Jets turning the ball over 6 times. Things get rolling in the World Series later as the Nats look to keep the magic rolling, and the Houston Astros look for their second World Series. It'll be Garrett Cole versus Max Scherzer, and things underway in the NBA tonight. 2 games. First in Toronto, New Orleans will take on the Raptors as their banner is unveiled, and Lakers and Clippers, the marquee matchup of the night in LA. I'm Pete Fox, Dr. Bloomberg, NBC Sports Update.
All right, so there you've got your sports fix. We'll bring you the sports again in just a little bit. But of course, what you really want to know about today is Brexit. Boris Johnson trying to rush his deal through Parliament. He's already seen that John Bercow and some of the MPs are hostile to his plans. But will he succeed this time with the so-called second reading of his withdrawal agreement bill? We'll speak to Bloomberg Opinion's Therese Raphael next. This is Bloomberg.
The lifeblood of tech startups isn't just money. It's executive and technical skills, the kind of skills that companies need to build real products, and the skills that venture capitalist Chris Sugden of Edison Partners sees in the graduates that are coming out of New Jersey Institute of Technology.
The amazing thing about NJIT is their graduates, they have multiple offers on average, not just one. They're coming out with real skill sets that are immediately hireable and available to them. I think we see an understanding by the faculty and administration at NJIT that we got to train and educate the whole student, not just their, one side of their brain. And I do think that's sort of part of the DNA today. There's practical and there's sort of academia, and merging those two together and understanding that if we're going to have our young people go make great jobs and have great successful careers, they've got to have both sides of their brain activated. And I think we see that with NJIT.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at njit.edu.
As Ben Franklin said, taxes are one of the certainties of life. Tax reform and the Wayfair decision have brought opportunities, surprises, and challenges to corporate taxpayers. New and complex regulations such as GILTI and FDII mean intercompany transactions, transfer pricing, and business combinations need to be reevaluated. Companies also face additional state sales and income tax exposure. What worked in the past past may not work today, EisnerAmper can help. That's a certainty. Visit EisnerAmper.com/tax certainty.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Influential conversations from Bloomberg Television. Here's Taylor Ray.
Schools across the country are looking for ways to help ensure safety across their campuses in an event of an emergency. One company working to leverage technology to notify on-site personnel and first responders is Rave Mobile Safety. For more, I bring in Todd Pate. He is the CEO of Rave Mobile Safety, and he joins me from Boston. Talk to me about the business model of the app. How does it work?
For the Panic app in particular, we license this technology to public safety agencies and or school districts. We're deployed in almost 10,000 schools across the nation. At this point, it is software as a service. So there's an annual fee. We handle all the training, maintenance, deployment services. So in particular, in the state of Louisiana, for example, we work closely with the state police department to roll it out across the state.
And what are some of your future initiatives to further integrate with first responders?
Yeah, that's a great question, Taylor. We actually are pretty broad in our footprint, well beyond just school safety. We do a lot in 911 centers, emergency management agencies. Really, we view our customers as anybody that's looking to better connect with the populations they protect. So between 10,000 schools, we've got half the colleges and universities in the country, and a lot of 911 centers and responder agencies.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg mobile app, or check your local cable listings.
Join others around the UK on an EY degree.
Markets, headlines and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From
the Bloomberg Bureau in Berlin, I'm Matt Miller. This is a Bloomberg Radio Business Flash. We are looking at equity indexes here in Europe that are, for the most part, down. The DAX actually little changed right now. The German index being held higher by moves in tech stocks, SAP holding it above water here, technology holding it
but not
above
anymore.
Water as well.
This is my business.
So that's why you see gains in Germany that you don't see in France or in the UK. The CAC 40 down almost 0.5% right now in Paris. It is being weighed on by Sanofi, Thales, and Atos, all falling harder this morning. And if you take a look at the FTSE, it's currently down about 0.2%. The FTSE is being weighed upon also by stocks like Reckitt Benckiser after it cut its forecast. TUI and Bunzl, as well as M&G, are also weighing down the FTSE index. Just Eat is doing just the opposite, currently up 23% after Prosus offered to buy the stock 710 pence a share. It's currently trading at 723.40, so it looks like investors think someone will come in with a higher bid, or Just Eat can do better on its own. The stock continues to climb, now 24%, 727. So just watching Just Eat PLC rise throughout the day. Quick look at U.S. Treasuries trading at 177.47 as investors buy the debt. Investors buy the yen as well at 108.53 and buy gold at 1487.90. So it does look like investors are starting to look to bid on some of those safe haven assets. Now let's get back over to Leanne Gerrans with more on what's going on around the world. Leanne?
Matt, thank you. President Trump has stoked trade optimism, raising expectations an agreement with China could be signed at the APEC meeting that's next month. The U.S. president told a cabinet meeting Beijing has has indicated negotiations are going well and has already started buying more agricultural products. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has failed in his bid to form a new coalition government. He's been forced to return the mandate to the country's president. President Rivlin now plans to pass that right to opposition leader and former military chief Benny Gantz, who's expected to face an equally difficult task. 2 inconclusive elections this year have left Israel in political deadlock. And the final trailer for the final Star Wars has indeed been dropped. The Rise of Skywalker will bring to an end the 9-part saga. The video features an appearance by Princess Leia. The movie is released on the 19th of December, so only just a couple of months to wait. Global News 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Leanne Gerrans. This is Bloomberg.
Bloomberg Opinion, informed perspectives, and expert data-driven commentary on breaking news.
It's 9:20 in the city. Time to check in with Bloomberg Opinion. We're joined by opinion columnist Therese Raphael, who's writing about Boris Johnson's attempt to get his Brexit deal past Parliament. And I've noticed there's a lot of negativity when it comes to this. People are using terms like breakneck pace and hectic, all of these pejorative and loaded phrases. Does it look like he's trying to pull a fast one, Therese?
Well, there's no question that this is a highly unusual amount of time or shortage of time through which to get any bill through, let alone something of this kind of historic importance. So, on that front, the sort of criticism and the language used, I suppose, has some justification. The other side of it is that, they have had quite a long time to debate Brexit. The contents of this withdrawal agreement bill, which is a legislation needed to put the treaty that Boris Johnson has agreed with the EU into UK law, the contents are largely known. But 3 days is a very short amount of time to parse the legalese, to check the contents of the bill with, say, standing orders and all the other things that give it effect in UK law. So there's a lot of discomfort with that, and this question whether the timetable is somewhat artificial, since the EU would likely grant an extension to kind of to get it done. So there are two narratives sort of competing right now, and we'll see tonight whether the timing issue becomes sort of determinative for what happens next.
I love, there's also, it's funny to watch the language around this, because people or media sympathetic with the EU say, or remain, say extension, whereas Brexiteers say delay. It's just, I think the nuances in words are very, very...
Absolutely, all throughout. You have, one side saying compromise, the other side saying capitulation.
Yes.
Absolutely a war of language, of both sides trying to take control of how this plays out with the public, which is, of course, very polarized still.
You have a great headline. Boris Johnson still has bazooka at his disposal. I'm more used to covering Mario Draghi than Johnson, so I love the term. But what do you mean by bazooka when you're talking about the Prime Minister?
Right. So the thesis there is that, even if his bill either doesn't pass tonight, or the timing is delayed, or opposition MPs lard it with amendments such that it is no longer no longer complies with his wishes, he can try to pull it and just say, look, this isn't working, let's go to an election. Now, Labour would have to agree to that, but the polls are now looking very favorable toward Johnson. The Conservatives have widened their lead over the Labour Party. Not only that, he goes to the public with actually with a treaty that he's agreed with the EU, and he can say it's my deal or no deal. And the chances of that are looking better and better, partly because even leave voting voters who are responding to pollsters are saying that they prefer his deal to no deal, and that is hurting the Brexit party, Nigel Farage's party, which wants a quote clean Brexit. They want to leave without a deal. If Boris Johnson can neutralize a threat from Nigel Farage and widen his lead over the Labour Party, well, that's the bazooka. He can go for a parliamentary majority, and that gives him the power to get his deal through, without all of the amendments that people want to put on it.
All right, Therese, great column. Thanks so much for joining us. Therese Raphael writes for our opinion team. You can check out their work, OPIN Go, on the Bloomberg terminal, or you can just go to Bloomberg.com and you'll see the opinion column on the right-hand side of your screen. This is Bloomberg.
And what are your
with the Bloomberg Business of Sports Report, I'm Michael Barr. The University of Kentucky is tapping professional esports franchise Gen G to help build its competitive video gaming program, a new type of partnership that will span athletics and academics. Gen G will develop the university, grow its gaming teams, and consult on the development of a dedicated space on campus for gamers to train. It also will assist on the academic side, helping the school build its gaming curriculum and provide career development for current and former Kentucky students. Bangladesh's cricketers will be on an indefinite strike until a list of demands are met by the country's cricket board, putting next month's tour of India in doubt. Players released a list of demands, including higher match fees for first-class cricketers. The boycott has affected the ongoing National Cricket League, Bangladesh's first-class cricket competition. And that is Bloomberg Business of Sports Report. I'm Michael Barr. The market's in focus every business day. The P&L Podcast with Paul Sweeney and Lisa Abramowitz.
Are there some sectors that you want to have more or less exposure to?
What's behind this engine of gains?
Analysis of the day's Wall Street action.
The U.S. market looks relatively safe.
From Bloomberg Intelligence, Bloomberg Opinion, and influential newsmakers.
Ward McCarthy joins us right now.
P&L with Paul Sweeney and Lisa Abramowitz. Listen today on Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, or subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
Looking for senior care for your mom or dad but don't know where to start? Hi, I'm Joan London with The Place for Mom. Nobody knows your parent or loved one better than you, and nobody knows senior living better than the experts at A Place for Mom. It's a free service, and we've helped thousands of families find the right place for their mom or dad. There's a place for answers, a place for mom. Call today.
Call A Place for Mom at 1-800-391-1755. That's 1-800-391-1755.
Rich is just a really, really, really good guy. The term good egg.
So I think in terms of the UK banks, the ones that are perhaps obvious, like Standard Chartered, is certainly very interesting. I think Bill Winters has done a great job moving.
Isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich, no. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their business strategically. Yet, the most competitive managers in the market know, with the right partner and a flexible operating platform, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
I'm Steve Meyer, president of SEI's Investment Manager Services. At SEI, we understand the emerging forces that will define success for asset managers and what firms will need to compete tomorrow. That's why we continually optimize SEI's global operating platform. If your business requires greater agility, our advanced technology, integrated best-in-class systems, and multi-asset expertise can be your catalyst for business transformation.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/seize-change.
You're not supposed to begin the race before the starting gun, but this is a different kind of race.
Let's go live to London and get the very latest.
Here in Moscow.
Trade talks, royal equities, and currencies.
Nathan Hager.
Apple has reversed course on Hong Kong.
Business news, interviews, and analysis first.
We get another key reading on inflation.
Bloomberg Daybreak, weekdays at 5 a.m. Eastern on Bloomberg Radio, the Bloomberg Business app, and BloombergRadio.com. Bloomberg, the world is listening.
And make sure your travel
Business is like
insurance
a puzzle.
covers all
Can
your
you
healthcare
make a call
needs.
given this
To keep your trip on
data?
track,
Get all the
check
pieces.
what you need to do
Getting mixed
at
signals from governments.
gov.uk/Brexit.
He's failed to gain traction.
Get ready
Bloomberg
for
Radio,
Brexit
the Bloomberg
on the
Business
31st of
Radio.com,
October.
and iHeartRadio apps, and BloombergRadio.com.
We both love travel, and luckily we've got the same taste in music.
Broadcasting
Next
live
year,
to London on
we're planning a
DAB
big road
Digital
trip.
Radio,
And I
to New York, Bloomberg 1130, to Washington DC, Bloomberg 99.1, to Boston, Bloomberg 106.1, to San Francisco, Bloomberg 960, and around the globe, the Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
Good morning. It is 10:30 in Berlin, 9:30 in London. I'm Matt Miller, coming to you from the German capital. You're listening to Daybreak Europe on London DAB Digital Radio. Here on Bloomberg, we give you a data check every 15 minutes. Let me just run you through what's going on in terms of the equity indexes. First, we now have, for the most part, red arrows across all indexes in Europe, with the exception of the OMX in Stockholm. It's currently gaining about 1/3 of 1% as Volvo shares rise more than 2%. The DAX has been treading water, but is now just slightly to the downside. We've got the tech stocks like SAP and Infineon holding us back from bigger losses here in Germany. But if you look at the DAX index on the downside, you can see the big weights are Fresenius, Bayer, Adidas, Covestro, and Wirecard, all pulling the index down. The CAC 40 is falling as well in Paris, now down more than 0.5%. The CAC is being weighed on by Thales, Atos, and Sanofi. Only 7 stocks are gaining of the 40 listed there. And then here, or there, I should say, in London, you see the FTSE just barely off, about 0.1% of 1%. In terms of the FTSE, you've got Just Eat rallying 24% right now after Prosus made a bid at 710 pence. Just Eat is trading for 728, so it looks like investors think that someone else is going to come in with a better offer, or Just Eat would be better off standalone. On the downside, Reckitt Benckiser lowers its forecast for the year. It's down 5%. TUI is down 5%. Bunzl and M&G down about 2 to 3% right now, so that's what's weighing on the FTSE. Let's get to another big, probably the biggest earnings announcement out of Europe. UBS has beat on the bottom line as wealth management assets reach a record high. The bank delivered over $1 billion in net attributable profit. And speaking to Bloomberg's Manus Cranny, the CEO, Sergio Ermati, struck an upbeat tone about this quarter.
Still very challenging market conditions, but I'm glad that we were able to bring a solid performance in this difficult context.
In terms of the investment bank, profits down by 59%. You announced a restructuring. What does that mean? What does it look like?
Look, market conditions in the last few quarters have been very challenging, and for sure they are not the market conditions that are also favoring our business mix and strategic choices. We are much more skewed towards Europe and Asia than we are into the US in our IB businesses, and this is still a business where the US is dominating, both in terms of calendar, in terms of business activity, and client sentiment is a little bit better than outside the US.
You're going to take $100 million of a charge, $100 million of a charge. What cost savings will you get, and is it going to mean job losses?
I think that we expect in the region of 90 million a year cost savings out of these charges. And most importantly, I think that it's going to give us an opportunity to refocus our activities. For example, in the markets business, we will really focus on our execution, on our structuring, and our financing businesses, leveraging all the technology investments we made in the last few years. In banking, we'll focus on fewer industries and more on a global global basis than on a regional basis. So also they're leveraging the expertise we have within the organization.
And will it mean, I mean, you had 5,300 people in that division at the half-year mark, so are there going to be significant job losses?
I don't think that there will be significant in the context of the numbers you mentioned, but of course we need to adapt the business to the current market conditions and the new priorities.
Your product of excellence has always has been, since you scaled back on the rates business, you scaled up on FX. Where's the product excellence going to focus in this restructure?
Still on execution, we are still a leader in equities, we are still a leader in FX. Of course, we are under invested or under represented in credit and rates, and we are, we saw also good developments on balances in prime brokerage and the financing part of the business. So we will continue to look at those areas in terms of the markets business. In terms of our banking business, as I said before, we focus on a few industries and on a global basis rather than having a regional approach.
Net new money, the T-Live blog is going. It says you've got ladles of net new money. $16 billion for the wealth management side of the business. Where did that mostly come from? Where's the flow from?
Well, you know that net new money, we are really focused on not on a quarter-on-quarter basis. I'm very happy that we have a positive trend for the year, slightly above the 2% net new money. The vast majority was coming from Asia. We also saw a pickup in the contribution of lending to net new money, but I'm pleased to see that across the board in all regions we had a positive or neutral impact of net new money.
And that was the CEO of UBS, Sergio Ermati, speaking to Bloomberg's Manus Craney. Now let's get over to Leanne Gerrans with your global news headlines. Leanne?
Good morning, Matt. Let's start on Brexit. Boris Johnson will find out tonight if he has any chance of getting his Brexit deal through Parliament. The second reading vote on the government's EU withdrawal agreement bill is scheduled to take place at 7 p.m. UK time. Analysis of MP's previous vote suggests Johnson probably has just enough support to win, but he will immediately face a more difficult vote on his rapid timetable for pushing the bill through Parliament. Justin Trudeau has won a second term as Canada's Prime Minister, but with a reduced mandate that will force him to rely on other parties to indeed govern. Trudeau's Liberal Party won or was leading in 156 electoral districts, short of the 170 needed for a majority in Canada's election. That was 4 years ago. The Liberal Party secured a majority to govern alone. In Lebanon, the government has raised the tax on banks and cut ministers' salaries by half. This is part of a plan to avoid a financial meltdown and appease tens of thousands of protesters. Bloomberg's Dana Craich has got the latest on the unrest.
Protests entered their fifth day on Monday, with many still unhappy with what the government is offering, and they insist on a change to the political class they accuse of widespread corruption. The government seeks to carry out major structural and fiscal reforms in a few months to regain investor confidence, unlock billions in aid, and keep the country afloat. Beirut, Dana Craich, Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
An abortion and same-sex marriage has become legal in Northern Ireland after a last-minute bid to block the move failed. Bloomberg's Peter Flanagan has more.
The region was the only part of the United Kingdom where the two measures remained illegal, but the British government in London moved to make both law amid the breakdown of Northern Ireland's devolved assembly. It's another blow to the Democratic Unionist Party, which has long opposed both measures and is fighting UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson's Brexit deal. In Dublin, Peter Flanagan, Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Leanne Gerrans. This is Bloomberg. Matt Miller.
Leanne, it's a hard CH in the word schedule. It's like schedule.
Well, here in Europe, and me being British, I say scheduled.
Sounds so silly, but thank you very much for
tomato.
World News headlines, Leanne Gerrans. So get over to Lewis Mason for your European sports report.
Sheffield United boss Chris Wilder thinks his team sent out a message to the Premier League with their 1-0 victory over Arsenal last night. Lys Mousset scored the winner at Bramall Lane to take his team into the top half of off the table. Meanwhile, Arsenal manager Unai Emery says his team is still developing. They missed the chance to move to third place in the Premier League because of their defeat in Sheffield. Liverpool players dominate the list for this year's Ballon d'Or trophy, with the Anfield club having 7 nominees. Virgil van Dijk, Sadio Mane and goalkeeper Alisson are among the Merseysiders, hoping to pick up the award for the world's best footballer in December. And Carl Edmund's poor run of form continues. He's been beaten in the first round of tennis's Vienna Open. He lost 3-6, 6-3, 6-4 against Italy's Matteo Berrettini, stretching his losing streak to 8 matches.
Now let's get the U.S. sports with Pete Fox.
A brutal beatdown on Monday Night Football by Belichick's defense as the Patriots hammered the Jets 33-0. The Pats defense picking off Darnold 4 different times and causing 6 turnovers in all. The NBA season tipping off tonight in Toronto as the Raptors unveil their banner against the New Orleans Pelicans, who will be without Zion for 6 to 8 weeks after he had minor meniscus surgery on his knee. And the highlight of the night in LA, Lakers and Clippers. And of course, the World Series gets underway in Houston as the Nationals send Max Scherzer to the mound to face off against Garrett Cole. I'm Pete Fox, that's your Bloomberg NBC Sports Update.
All right, so those are your sports stories for the day. Coming up on Bloomberg Daybreak Europe, it is the end of an era. ECB President Mario Draghi's last policy decision approaches on Thursday. We look back at the past 8 years of his tenure. Next, this is Bloomberg.
Is loyal to them.
Imagine being fired because of who you love.
Well, today we're seeing sort of
Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are.
Do you think we should be thinking
Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people.
I think it's already there.
Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Witham offers VC expertise to address the advisory, audit, and tax needs of your investments.
I'm Chris DeMeo, Witham's Technology and Emerging Growth Services Practice Leader. The venture capital community continues to thrive in an era of disruption, fueling the growth of some of the greatest innovations over the last 25 years. Witham's Technology and Emerging Growth Services team services a variety of different venture-backed startups, lending predictive support and deep service experience, adding value to your portfolio.
Visit witham.com/VC for more information.
Business is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrants, as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
$199.99. All with inclusive delivery and free returns.
Whatever job you're searching
Hurry,
for,
offer ends
find it on
26th
LinkedIn.
October.
First job,
Own it.
flexible jobs,
Shop now
work from
at
home on a
littlewoods.com.
Friday jobs, advertising jobs, accounting jobs,
Get ready
HR,
for Brexit
PR, even
on the 31st
ER
of
jobs,
October.
Soho jobs,
This means that
shortage
travelling
jobs.
to the
Keep me
EU
away
will
from
change.
the central line
You'll need
jobs.
to check online
Banking
if your
jobs,
passport is
building
valid
jobs,
for travel
never
to
ever
Europe.
boring jobs.
If you're planning on
Small
driving,
jobs, big
you'll need
jobs,
to check
like
if you have the right
environment
documents to
jobs,
drive.
or even
And
voiceover
make sure your
jobs,
travel
which is how
insurance
I
covers
ended up
all your
recording this
healthcare
ad.
needs.
Search millions
To
of
keep your
jobs on
trip on
LinkedIn
track,
and find
check
one
what you
meant
need
for
to
you.
do at
Till it's not fair. Self-service
gov.uk/Brexit.
Let's forget the
Get
fact
ready
you're
for
now
Brexit
working
on
on
the
a
31st of
supermarket
October.
checkout. As soon as you put anything past the scanner, the place is down on that bagging area. Literally just
Dell Small
nudge.
Business
Literally
Technology
a
Advisors
blueberry
can recommend
falls out the
tailored
back.
security
And it's going,
solutions
these are going
like
systems.
computers
You
with
need
Intel core
systems.
processors,
And they got to wait there
servers,
for
storage,
hours because everyone else is
industry-leading
moving
monitors,
things.
and
It's just not fair.
running your own small business is a big challenge, but with the right partner, it's a lot easier. To speak with an advisor today, call 0800 085 4878. That's 0800 085 4878.
It's only suitable for a couple of types of cancer.
And to say happy birthday, we're giving you a pair of award-winning Silver Galaxy buds.
But it's not my birthday till June.
No, but it's ours. 10 years ago, we launched our first Galaxy smartphone. And to celebrate, we're giving customers who purchase any Galaxy S10, Note 10 or A95G the chance to claim a pair of amazing wireless Galaxy buds.
Wow, and I didn't get you anything.
Get the latest Samsung Galaxy smartphone now at your local Carphone Warehouse shop or carphonewarehouse.com. Offer available on purchases made by the 23rd of October 2019 and claimed online within 30 days.
Because with hive active heating, for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC,
Alexa,
and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Alexa, play my Nice and Toasty playlist.
Search Hive Heating to buy now. Hive services require broadband and Wi-Fi. Terms apply.
And to say happy birthday, we're giving you a pair of award-winning Silver Galaxy buds.
But it's not my birthday till June.
No, but it's ours. 10 years ago, we launched our first Galaxy smartphone. And to celebrate, we're giving customers who purchase any Galaxy S10, Note 10 or A95G the chance to claim a pair of amazing wireless Galaxy buds.
Wow, and I didn't get you anything.
Get the latest Samsung Galaxy smartphone now at your local EE shop or ee.co.uk. Offer available on purchases made by the 23rd of October 2019 and claimed online within 30 days.
Start hearing more of what you want. Upgrade to TuneIn Premium and get over 45 commercial-free music stations, live commercial-free news, and every live NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL game. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
Here's a swing and a drive deep to right field. Looking up, goodbye baseball.
Between game-winning shots and walk-off homers, follow TuneIn on social media to discover the latest and greatest in live sports.
With the 24th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft.
From live reminders that the biggest MLB games are on the air, to recommendations of the best new sports talk shows and podcasts.
He's going to be fine. He's going to be good right away in 3 years.
Follow @TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the most out of TuneIn.
Primarily our Chinese partners.
Next time you look up at the stars, think about this.
Inside we have a very good level of cooperation at the leadership level between our countries.
Of a stellar
and this speeds things up in all areas. Be it at
and without the stars, there wouldn't be us.
I'm Guy Raj, the wonders of the universe and the people who still look up every night. Next time on the TED Radio Hour from NPR.
Is it then in your interests?
You can subscribe to the TED Radio Hour on TuneIn.
Between China and
TuneIn puts you on the sideline for the 2019 college football season free all year long. With college football on TuneIn, hear the home and away call for more than 140 schools live, regular season matchups and rivalry games, conference championships and bowl games, the college football playoff.
He's got it in stiff arm. End zone. Touchdown.
You can listen to it all for free at home, on campus, or on the road. Hear the excitement and pageantry of college football all season long, free on TuneIn.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg's European headquarters in London, I'm Danny Berger with this Bloomberg Radio Business Flash. Stocks are looking mixed this morning as the earnings season continues to come in. We have a lot of big names reporting today, but we're seeing European equities down about 0.2% on the Euro Stoxx 600. We're also seeing U.S. futures move lower today, despite the fact that yesterday we saw this massive rally that took the index beyond 3,000. But we're seeing a lot of analysts start to cut their earnings outlook, so that's weighing on equities. But in terms of Europe, it's mostly household goods, food shares moving the index lower, though tech higher thanks to AMS and Apple earnings yesterday. That has been boosting. Now, the other big thing we're concentrating, of course, is sterling, with Boris Johnson set to find out whether his deal can pass Parliament. Even though it started the day with gains, we're seeing the pound down about 0.2%, trading at one spot 29.33. So maybe some of that uncertainty coming back into the markets, with traders biding their time to see what exactly will be the outcome. Now, when it comes to other currencies, we have some interesting emerging market moves. We're seeing the shekel edging higher after Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu gave up the privilege of leading the formation of a new government. Canadian dollar also, we're seeing little reaction there to Justin Trudeau winning a second term. But when it comes to commodity currencies, we're seeing currencies like the New Zealand dollar being stronger. Some hopes here that a trade deal will be reached. Trump has, of course, said that it looks likely they may get one by next this month at a meeting in Chile. That's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Now here's Leanne Gerrans with more on what's going on around the world.
Danny, thank you. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has failed in his bid to form a new coalition government. He's been forced to return the mandate to the country's president. President Rivlin now plans to pass that right to opposition leader and former military chief Benny Gantz, who is expected to face an equally difficult task. Two inconclusive elections this year have left Israel in political deadlock. Thousands of protesters gathered in city squares around Chile yesterday after a weekend of riots and looting that left 11 people dead. The country is enduring the worst unrest since it returned to democracy. That was back in the late 80s to become Latin America's most prosperous nation. About 1,500 people have been arrested after arson and riots that have brought cities to a near standstill. And finally, thinking of booking a holiday? Well, England has been named the world's second best tourist destination to visit in 2020. Guidebook firm Lonely Planet has put it down to what it's calling the country's timeless treasures and wow factor. Bhutan has taken that top spot. Global News 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Leanne Gerrans. This is Bloomberg Matt.
I know. I love London. You know that I'm an Anglophile, right?
I do know that, yes.
But England is the second best place in the world to visit?
I know, I was just looking this up myself, actually, but I don't know if you've ever gone to some of the most beautiful places on the Jurassic Coast in England. I mean, there's Durdle Door in Dorset. There's some pretty spectacular places to visit. I know the sun doesn't always shine, but there's also the Magical History Tour, which is in Northumberland, so there is lots to do. It might not be a monastery on the cliffs of Bhutan, but...
Or diving in the coral reefs of Raja and Pat, hanging out in Bali, sailing through the British Virgin Islands. I mean, I think I could think of, well, I don't know. England's great.
But we always love it when you come here.
It's wonderful. I also love New York, and Nathan Hager is there in the Big Apple, sitting in our studio at 731 Lexington Avenue, prepping for the show. Nathan, what do you got planned?
Well, we're actually still focused on England and the rest of the UK, Matt, as Boris Johnson gets ready for what could be a crucial day for his Brexit plans. He's hoping to put his deal to a vote tonight. We'll have a live report from London and analysis from Bloomberg Opinion's Therese Raphael. Plus, we have analysis of UBS earnings beat with Jonathan Tice of Bloomberg Intelligence. And as President Trump sends those positive signals about a trade deal with China, we will ask John Sylvia of Dynamic Economic Strategy whether he shares that optimism. That's all coming up with me and Karen Moscow on Bloomberg Daybreak. Matt.
Very cool. Always great to hear from John Sylvia. Looking forward to that. Nathan and Karen coming up. If you're listening on Sirius XM, if you're listening on London DAB, digital radio, you will hear Bloomberg Surveillance. Now, it is, as we've been saying, the end of an era at the ECB. President Mario Draghi is set to preside over his final policy decision on Thursday before handing the reins to his successor, Christine Lagarde, on the 1st of November. The transition comes at an uncertain time for the Eurozone economy. We look back over the past 8 years of his tenure.
The ECB is ready to do whatever it takes to preserve the euro. And believe me, it will be enough.
With these words, ECB President Mario Draghi is credited by many with saving the euro, but he'd already proved willing to take decisive action. In his first two meetings, he undid the 2011 rate hikes enacted by his predecessor Jean-Claude Trichet, and later took the key deposit rate to an unprecedented 0% to battle the Greek, then European debt crisis. And that was just the beginning.
Truly historic. The deposit rate has gone negative. That is historic for any major central bank.
I would say that for all the practical purposes, we have reached the lower bound.
As the